So I'm sitting here with Dan Nocera today, and we were discussing how to set up the system. And one of the things that we're realizing is we've got 20 plus years of information from different events that we've done up here with different speakers and presenters. We were just reviewing the clip with Don Alberto Taxo.
Yeah, there's stuff we haven't even seen for 20 years, which is really blowing my mind. I just pulled out a camera anytime something happened here, and you were prolific too. There were events here like every week sometimes.
I couldn't believe how fast we were pumping them out. I mean, actually, because we're in here today trying to figure out the best path to extract the information and the teachings so we can start putting this together in digestible pieces.
Yeah, that was the problem with just filming everything. We never had enough time to sort through and edit everything. And, that's the time-consuming part of all this is rewatching the teaching and then cutting it down. Or pulling out the most important parts.
It's also a very exciting time, too, because I feel with the way the world is going lately, it's easy to say it's overwhelming. There's so much information coming at us. There's so much kind of doom and gloom out there, and there's this impending kind of vibe that's going on. So it's helping me to say, what is the most important thing I need to be doing right now? What is the most beneficial path to take, right? And so we were watching this one clip when Richard and Bob Randall came. And Bob Randall was dropping down some heavy truths in that little clip that we had.
We're born into that system right from our earliest of childhood. You are taught. Your uncle is that tree over there. Your grandfather is that rock there. And that water is your mother.
When we initially met the first two teachers, we were basically, in my opinion, given the instructions that we need to record this for future use. And then it accelerated, and more teachers came, more and more presentations were given.
I feel like I'm sitting on a treasure trove of information, and just the process of trying to table some of these mind-blowing teachings that could help to essentially what I'm seeing is we're needing to adjust our perception. It's not necessarily changing the world, or what Bob Randall was talking about. It's not about changing the world. It's about changing ourselves. Mm-hmm. And I think that these teachings are really becoming more powerful. They're like aging, like wine.
Yeah, they're like a fine wine that's been in a cellar for 20 years, aging in an oak cask, and I think they're more relevant today than ever. We definitely had sort of the intuition or the feeling that the teachings that we were given would be important. They were important when they were given to us, but we knew in the future they would be important. And the state of the world and the state of just humanity makes me feel like now's the time.
Now's the time.
Now's the time.
And the canary in the coal mine for me is how I feel when I hear the words again. And what I find really interesting is how spirit, or whatever, the divine guidance hand of the universe puts exactly what's in front of us that we need. And that Sequoia's words are, "You're always right where you need to be, brother."
The way you understand it is that everything is happening exactly the way it's supposed to.
No, it always is. Yeah, it's just, it's us wanting things to be different that causes all the pain and suffering. When you give it up to Creator, you don't have any motivation anymore because you're following a natural way. And it's not being motivated doing anything. You're doing what in every moment is the most respectful thing to do in that moment. It'll come naturally when you get your intellect out of the way. It's hard for people to get that, and so, they don't want to let go of that intellectualizing thing. But when you do, then you're just right there with it, and there's nothing there but beauty. There's love, complete. There's no judgment.
Sequoia's teachings, I feel, are one of the deepest because the stuff that he told us really kind of made me think about, my view of reality.
We give thanks to the spirit of this land that we're sitting upon, for our ancestors are buried within this land. They did what they could to take care of the unresolved issues of those ancestors that preceded them. And now they've called us here to follow on in their footsteps. And so our responsibility now on this earth is to take care and to help heal the unresolved issues of our ancestors. We are the spiritual representatives of everyone who's gone before us.
He always told us that no matter what you are going through, even if it's awful or terrible, it's exactly what you need to be dealing with and working on in that moment.
You're always right where you need to be, brother, always.
That thank you in our life is that word is the only key that will open the door to peace. Thank you. The thank you also, implies non-judgmentalism. It applies acceptance. It implies forgiveness. All of those things. If we're not judging a situation, then we're in acceptance of it. And we're not putting any judgments out there whatsoever around it, And so when we're with any situation like that, that opens the doorway, and the spirit of great thanks then can move us around this great circle of life to the spirit of great peace.
There were a lot of times where we just had incredible experiences where magical things happened. Things that we couldn't explain, things manifested. When we first met Sequoia and the woman he walked beside back then, Marlon, there were so many rainbows that we experienced. I mean, it was beyond coincidence.
The first sweat lodge that we ever did up here.
There was a double rainbow after that one, the very first sweat lodge. So that kind of blew our minds.
Sequoia, come down here. It's humongous! Pete, get in the shot.
Woo!
Here we are live at Blue Star.
Then we met Rinpoche, Khentrul Lodro Tae Rinpoche, who came to bless the land for a stupa that was being built in Old Saybrook. And after spending months with Sequoia, we had a bunch of questions that he had sort of answered. So we asked him similar questions. And lo and behold, we have a Buddhist monk telling us very similar things.
Yeah. 4 directions, north, east, south, and west. To the 4 cardinal directions above and below, they say 10 directions altogether, basically, in every direction. Those beings that we're unable to see, there are innumerable beings everywhere. And so towards all of them, this is what we're giving, support it, the support and so forth, and so kind of like asking for permission and making sure that everything is kind of harmonious and in sync with the project.
Yeah. You know what I loved about Rinpoche when he gave that teaching, and you did all the filming for all we have a series of teachings from Rinpoche. If you're ever interested in inquiring them, they're deep. But he was giving a talk on meditation. We went on that retreat, and he used the metaphor when you're meditating, which is obviously where you're trying to calm your mind and have no thoughts. He said, "Not too tight, not too loose." Remember, when you're trying to shoot a picture with a camera, you want to adjust it. So, because if you're too tight trying to meditate, you're all contorted and your body is stressed. And if you're too loose, you're going off into a dream, you're falling asleep, you're not meditating. So I use his metaphor a lot, not too tight, not too loose, when I sit. And the second thing that he dropped down, the wisdom that Rinpoche dropped down that sticks with me to this day, is his breathing technique, on how he broke his breath up into 3 parts. So when you're breathing and you're sitting on your mat, he says you breathe in the word and you think the word Om. Mm-hmm. So you're thinking it as you're staying with your breath. And at the top of your breath, before you exhale, you're thinking the word Ah, A-H, like open heart, Ah. And then when you exhale, it's hung, H-U-N-G. And you just repeat that little engine mantra. And that really does a fantastic job of opening the portal of, hey, wait a minute, this isn't what I thought. So how, meditation, breathing techniques, there's different ways, but what's really exciting is these teachings they're all speaking the same
truths
around the same subject in different manners that they're speaking in.
Yeah, we create our reality with our thoughts. And
what are we creating? That's the question.
Yeah. And the great thing about having so many teachers is, I think where Rinpoche fits in is he was teaching us how to calm our minds, to keep them from having, countless thoughts, negative and positive, but to just calm down and focus and be present. That's what meditation does. And that meditation, the Om Ah Hong, our task was to do that 100,000 times.
Right.
And then come back to them and tell them, what we saw, what we felt, what we experienced.
Right.
So until we get there, we're not ready for the next teaching. That's sort of an intro to managing the mind, training the mind. I think early on we realized that this was sort of our role. We've met people from Australia, we've met people from South America, we've met people from Europe, from Asia, and we're the helpers. Yeah. I think we realized that right away.
I like the part when Sequoia, one of the presentations he did up here where he actually came to tears. Like, we're sitting on the answers. We're literally sitting on the answers. There's no place we need to go physically that way or get back to in the past. That's more important than understanding how powerful it is to be here right now.
Yeah, I mean, the truths that were downloaded to us might not occur in a whole person's lifetime. If they, say, were a farmer somewhere remotely, they might not ever have access to teachers like we have. So we both felt very blessed and felt like the Blues Brothers, like God had given us a mission to help these people. We're on a mission from God. To help these people get their messages out. And then, basically a tsunami, a giant wave of teachings just kind of washed over us. We got married. We had kids. Sort of got...
They call it the domestic red road.
Yeah, we went down the domestic red road, and that was a teaching in and of itself. Now we're back at the point where...
It's time to table it. We have to table it. We did the work. We have all these teachings, and now it's time to get this understanding to people who are desperately wanting to hear it. I've always loved sharing. That's one thing for sure I've always done since I got back from Australia with the didgeridoo, is being able to bring it up and share something that makes a person stop in their tracks and be in a momentary state of awe. Like, what is actually happening here? And I'm like, that's what I feel. When I'm able to quiet my mind and I can get to a place where I'm just not coming or going, like Rinpoche calls it the lion mind. The lion doesn't chase anything because it's not hungry, and it doesn't run from anything because it's not afraid. It just observes. That is the most bliss you can ever experience, of just not wanting anything, not needing anything, just observing. And that's what these teachings have been really.
Yeah, we've really been blessed, and we've created multiple, I guess, self-contained videos. So it's not like we did nothing with the footage. We did create multiple videos with teachings, like hour-long videos. So we did one on the significance of sound with Rinpoche, which
amazing.
That first day we met him, Pete played the didgeridoo for him as we were walking out to the car, and Rinpoche said through his translator, "Hey, that sounds like a Tibetan horn that the monks play."
Right, and so he demonstrates. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so then he played it, and Pete said, "You should come by and talk about sound and sing and play."
You should
Thank you.
make an album.
One, yeah.
Really? It would be a perfect.
Did you get that on video?
Yeah. Well, we have a place we can do that.
Combination of that. Oh my God.
Yeah, next time we do. You come. Yeah. Okay. Done. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. We'll get your voice. We'll record headsets, and we'll do it through this, and we can do that. Yeah. Thank you.
And he said, okay. And then that's where, that actually eventually happened. We have a whole video on that.
Paloma was like, you have a contract right there. And not even 6 months later, he was at our place recording the significance
And he
of
dropped
sound.
some teachings that I've never heard about sound and how they use it to heal in Tibet. And it just connected with, Pete's original connection to the mystical, which was that instrument, the didgeridoo that's behind him there. Met some folks in New Zealand and Australia, and the vibration from that, I think that's actually what called in all these people.
Can find a connection with this wind instrument. This is, to me, is a magic wand. There's no doubt about it. It's like Pete said, it's really taken him, in a direction. It took me half around the world to Canada, some place I'd never thought I'd go. But if it wasn't for this, it's a magic wand. You got to connect with it. When you connect with it, you'll discover. It's no good trying to get it from somebody. You have to connect with it itself, the spirit itself.
The didgeridoo is absolutely a magic wand, and I'll never forget the time Sequoia was staying over the house, and there was a poster that was promoting me coming to do a didgeridoo program at the school, and it said Pete Onofrio, didgeridoo expert, coming on such and such a date. And Sequoia walks up to the poster, and he puts his finger up on it, says, "Brother," says, "what's this word expert here?" And I said, "That's not, I didn't make that flyer, Sequoia. That came from the school. It was an advertisement from the school." He says, "Yeah, well, you can't call yourself an expert." He said, "You got to get that word out of there." He said, "As soon as you start declaring you're an expert about anything, the universe going to come whipping around and show you otherwise." Yeah. I was just like, "Okay, Sequoia, what should my name be?" He's like, "Well, let me think about it." He goes to sleep and wakes up the next day, and I thought he forgot about it, right? He was just walking around the house, and so he's walking by the poster. I bump into him by the poster, and he goes, "Hey, brother, I got your new name." I said, "What? What's my new name, Sequoia?" He says, "Pete Onofrio, assistant to the great didgeridoo medicine. That's your new name." I said, "Okay,
there you go.
Okay."
One of the greatest videos we made was a video where Sequoia kind of boiled his teachings down into this poster, which we should have up here.
Yeah.
The great thanks, great peace, great love
Poster.
Which is if you're thankful for everything that happens to you, good or bad, in the moment, then that opens your heart up to the great peace and great love.
That's synonymous with the Rinpoche's 3 breathing techniques: Om, Hum. And it's the same trilogy: great thanks, great peace, great loves. And so by thinking it, by breathing it, by vibrating it, you become a hub. It's kind of like Emoto's messages in water. It's like if you he's got the samples of the water, and he takes 25 samples and puts them in one room, a drop of water under a microscope, and then he takes 25 samples and puts them in another room. Then he brings in people to talk about negative things in the room with the water. One water samples, it's tap water, and they swear at it, they put it down, they insult it, they think without even just...
Yeah, they use Post-it notes and write things and pictures and words and stick it to the water.
And then they go into the other room, and then they give it nothing but positive affirmations. I love you, you're beautiful, thank you. And then they quickly takes the slides and puts them under a microscope, and they study the water droplet. Well, of course, the water that was negatively affected putrefied. It looked like sewage water.
And then like swamp water.
And then the water that was meditated and prayed and praised upon, it crystallized. It turned into a snowflake.
Beautiful crystal structure.
And that's what Sequoia says: every thought, word, and action, brother. Every thought, word, and action.
Yeah, that first step is the hardest step because, our whole lives we've been taught to consume, to desire things, to want the next great thing, to want the next great job. And instead of just being thankful for where we're at and what we have. And that takes time and effort to reprogram your brain into that mode of thankfulness.
There's a purpose for our direction, and we need to remind each other that, be on each other's side. And that's what Big Talk from the Little House is gearing towards. It's finding situations and people that are actually doing things right without over-intellectualizing, overthinking it, and exemplify that unique connection that they have to their existence, and then showing other people that it's possible. It's really, you don't need to be, a CEO of a company, or you don't need to have $3 million in the bank. You don't need to go over your divorce or into your new relationship or next vacation. It's like, now is the best time ever to start waking up and realizing that, hey, this is not what we thought it was. And in a very exciting, optimistic way. But I want to thank Dan again for coming down and working in the studio to help set up this podcast. And thank you guys.
Doing the work.
Stay focused, stay
Chop
healthy.
wood, carry water.
Stay present. And thanks again. This will be signing off for this afternoon. Big Talk from the Little House. Thank you. Peace.